won't hurt him. Spray paint.
It is so humid
a wall
today.
Hope Outdoor Park.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, run!
Have you noticed that my hair gets longer every time we cut back to the show?
Yeah, it must be like, here, catch.
Jeez, thank you.
Must be like my magic clothes that change into a suit.
All right. You ready?
I woke up this morning and
This is
then got
entirely
ready.
too fast. We've
so
got
now
to plan this
I
back.
am ready.
All
Catch
right.
up, Slowpoke.
Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen! Today's October 14th, 2018. It is Season 2, Episode 41, and I'm Eric Murphy.
And I'm Jamie Boone.
And, wow, hi, live studio audience.
Yeah, we've got a good one today.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is an exciting day. But before we get into callers and all of that, I've got a couple quick announcements. Number one, I'm so excited. Truth Wanted is premiering today after the Atheist Experience.
Truth Wanted? What's that?
Truth Wanted is a show with Dan the Man, Skeptically Dan Earls.
Objectively Dan.
I keep saying Skeptically Dan. I don't know why. Objectively Dan. And he's actually going to be on with the co-host being Genetically Modified Skeptic.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if you want to see it, make sure that you are on the Atheist Experience. It's going to be on their stream, and it's going to be after they finished their show.
So literally, don't change the channel, don't touch that dial, because one, I don't know what kind of computer you have. You should probably get a new one. But two, it'll be on the same thing. So.
And so yes, it is another call-in show, but here's where it's different. It's street epistemology. Mm-hmm. So if you think that we're patient as compared to the Atheist Experience, you have no idea. You have no idea these people have the most patience. And I'm actually really, really happy to see that another way for people to talk to theists is going to be represented and people can see it happen. And that's exciting. Yeah. It's really, really exciting. I also, since we're talking about Genetically Modified Skeptic, he's going to be doing a Q&A on our Discord on October 24th at 6 p.m. Central.
October 24th, 6 p.m. Central, and which Discord is that again?
That's the ACA Discord. You can check out
ACA Discord.
Our different social media presences on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, and
I think you mean our different social media presence.
Yeah. Check it out. Get into the Discord because you definitely want to be there for the Q&A. Let's see. Oh, we got another really cool thing.
What else we got?
Let's see if the crew is ready because we got a camera in the crew area so we can actually dive back and see them.
Yeah.
Can we cut to the camera?
Yes! Hello, crew!
Hello, crew!
Now we are watching you as well.
So that is Mark on the left and Silas on the right.
And
audio and video.
Is that? I can't tell whose hat that is. All
That's
right.
okay.
And a third
taking
person
calls.
who we feel bad about not knowing who it is today, but
that's all right. All right. Vern!
Oh, it was Vern!
Our regular audio engineer is also in there taking calls.
Okay, cool.
So we have 3 full lines and 3 open lines and only 1 theist caller. So here's the deal. If you are religious, if you are questioning, if you have some wild belief or conspiracy, now's the time to call in because we're going to give you preference and we definitely want to talk to you. So if you want to talk to us, you can call in to this number right here, 1-512-686-0279. And if you're international, you can actually, we got to fix this. But if you go to the Atheist Experience website, there's a button in the upper right left-hand corner that says call the show. If you click that, it'll call into our show right now. So no reason not to call even if you're international. Yeah. Jamie, anything else going on?
Well, I suppose I should only do so much behind the scenes reveal, but I think my computer may have just died, like permanently. So I may be launching some of my personal side project-y things a lot sooner and with a lot lower quality than I thought.
All right.
Keep a lookout
stay
for
tuned
that.
for that. Let's see. So Jamie and I are not going to be here next week. We've got some really fun stuff that we've got to head to, but we're going to leave it in some very capable hands. Should we announce or should we make it a surprise? What do you think, Jamie? On the spot, on the air. What do you think?
We're going to leave it in some very capable hands, well, if we had prepared this, we could have given bad hints that would make people think it was like Stephen Fry and the reincarnated ghost of Christopher Hitchens.
Ooh.
Wink.
I mean, we're already enough of a disappointment. I read the YouTube comments. I wouldn't want to.
Oh, you read too many YouTube comments. Don't tell them that you read the comments.
Oh, gosh, I'm doomed.
If you like Eric and you don't want him to feel bad about himself, leave a nice comment this week.
Or you can subscribe. It's as easy as that.
Because that's how he measures his
really
self-esteem. So.
And we're also going to be announcing the top 5 patrons like we always do in the middle of the show. If you'd like to be mentioned on air, please become one of our top 5 patrons. You can do that by going to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Again, that's patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. All right, we ready to get to callers?
Yep.
All right. Let's start with Jeremy in Lexington. Jeremy, you're live with Eric and Jamie. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you all?
Doing well.
I'm doing marvelously. What do you want to talk about today?
He said.
Well, actually, I just wanted to kind of, because I know I guess I'm first, but I'm a second-time atheist, if you will.
Okay.
And
the second time, first time I was in Iraq and, became an atheist then, and of course, some of my fellow soldiers, et cetera, but then I came home. Long story short, I kind of put it aside that I, denounced God or there wasn't a God, because I came from a very religious, I was raised by my grandparents. So you could imagine, church was always, in the forefront. So I kind of, I came home safe and in one piece and just kind of didn't say anything, kind of treated, kind of got back into church and used it as an insurance policy, if you will. And after years and years and years of, lying to myself, and started doing more of the research, and then finding you all actually on YouTube about a month ago. It was like a breath of fresh air. But I actually did come out to my family 2 years ago that I was an atheist, and that's brave.
And it was difficult for them, and for me. But another thing is, at Christmas, I told them that's fine, but I don't want to be present. Okay. So therefore, they've stated that, well, if you can't pray with us or be in the same room when we pray, then don't come over. Now it's created a rift there. And I don't have, like I said, I've learned a lot in the past 4 weeks by watching you all, Matt and all the other hosts, I watch a lot of Matt's debates that he's done with theists and trying to kind of have a dialogue with my family, and they just won't even listen, So I'm looking for advice. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm here in Kentucky, kind of the South, and it's kind of the Bible Belt, if you will. I know you're all in Texas, so I know you can relate to somewhat.
A little bit,
A little bit. So I'm kind of lost in a sense, because there's no community, at least here in Kentucky, that I know about. Don't know if you all have like an atheist experience or talk heathen outlets here in other states, or if that's in the works.
Sure.
Just kind of what can I do, or what other community, atheist
let me
programs are
say
out there.
2 things. One, I'm glad that you said that there's no community and not, I'm the only one, because it probably means, there's at least one other atheist there somewhere, depending on the size of your town, just statistically.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, even in like the deep, South, like the backwoods of Bama, there's atheists, and they've visited here and told us, oh my gosh, if we could possibly move here, we would. But you say like, is there an outlet here for community, or is one in the works? On that note, send an email with that in the subject line to president@atheist-community.org, and we'll continue to help you with stuff. But we can give you the sort of basic jump starter here on the air.
So let's see. So as far as what we're doing, we have a really, really active, really amazing online community. And I know it's not the same as being around people in person, but I have made some wonderful friends that I hope to keep for the rest of my life online. And I would love for you to be able to meet them. You can go to Talk Heathen on Facebook, the official discussion group, or the official discussion group for the Atheist Experience. You can hop onto our Discord. We'll be popping links up. You can hop onto Reddit, where people share stories and jokes and memes. You can hop onto Instagram and Twitter and see us interacting. And we just really want to try and create a place for you to land. And that is really important. Yeah. But we're not reinventing the wheel. There are existing organizations, and there is a resource for you. And the best resource is Recovering from Religion. If you go to Recovering from Religion's website, they have the Hotline Project. It is absolutely free to call. It is a peer support network. And when I volunteered with them, I found that on their back end, they have the most exhaustive list of local groups and other things that people need for support with them. Yeah. So if you call in, there's a good chance that they can point you to a local group near you. You're in Lexington. It is
Recovery Religion, you said? I'm trying to...
Yeah.
Yep, Recovering from Religion.
And also in Kentucky, our good friend Jim Helton from American Atheists helped found the Tri-State Freethinkers.
And they are super active.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely worth checking out, the Tri-State Freethinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been kind of hard. It's kind of hey, I'm an atheist. It's kind of, can't really say that around. I don't really know how to, other than trying to research it. Because I have, like I said, friends, family want nothing to do with me now. So,
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So it's all right though. But, I'm not gonna fold. I'm not gonna fold.
No.
This is me. This is my beliefs. This is where I stand. I'm open to like you all are. I'm open to present your case, and I'm completely open. I'm I'm just like you all. I'm not saying that there isn't a God, but I just don't believe what's in front of me and what I've seen and what I've been through, especially being in the military and being overseas and seeing what God has done. I want no part of that, and now that my family and friends don't want no part of me. So, so anyway, I'd like to at least say thank you, because finding you all online about 4 weeks ago has just been, if you can't tell, I'm a lot happier now. I've done nothing but look at your YouTube videos for hours and hours and hours on end. So thank you for doing everything that you all do. So, and I guess I will leave it at that. I've written down everything that you all have stated, and I will definitely reach out to these outlets and these organizations to try to get a hold of somebody that's on the same page as me.
Yeah. Hey, you're not alone, brother, and I'm glad that you called in. I'm very, very glad that you found the shows, and it's going to be okay. I think now is the best time to be an atheist. There has been, because there are more of us, and we are more open. We are more out there, and we're standing up, and we're starting to say it, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It is. And I admit that I was an atheist at first out of anger, and I'm not angry anymore. And that's why everybody comes to me, oh, you're angry. You're angry. Well, I used to be. Yes, I would admit I was extremely angry, and denouncing God. That was been, of course, during my military times. But I'm not angry anymore. Now I'm looking at it with a clear conscience, a clear head, and trying to looking at it in an intellectual aspect, and trying to have a conversation. But unfortunately, where I'm at and where I'm from, and being raised by grandparents, and it's our way or the highway. And,
and anger can be justified. I mean, I want to be absolutely clear on that one. I was on Secular Sexuality not too long ago, and we talked about the abuse that was going on in the Catholic Church that was brought up in Pennsylvania. Yes. And I am freaking furious about it. I mean, people say, "Oh, you're mad at God." Well, no, I don't think a God exists, but I can be mad at a fictional character, right? Yeah. And I could be mad at a freaking child rapist. And I can be mad at people who enable that. It's not just saying, "Oh, I believe and you're mad at my God." No, I'm mad at you.
And the people, because there are good people that are in the church and that community, and I agree, and I'm all about good community and coming together and helping out your fellow person. But like I said, and I think I've even learned, like I said, through, I believe, Tracy watched an episode where she was on the Atheist Experience with Jen, I believe, and looked up, she was speaking with a caller where she was saying that there was missionaries going over to Uganda. I believe it was Uganda, telling them, and please don't quote me, I'm paraphrasing here, but that, these missionaries were telling these people that to not to use condoms, and then what is it to kill the witches? And I'd have to look at the episode again.
Yeah. No,
but there were these missions, like I said, going, and just absolutely and disgusting things, actually, that these extremist, I will call them extremist Christians, if you will. Jim Jones, etc. And when I present these arguments to friends, former, I guess you could say former now, but they go silent and they have no rebuttal. They have, it's just it's the Bible. It's like da 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 da, and it's really hard that especially the people that are supposed to be closest to me are not even open to listen.
Yeah.
To another argument. I mean, they're so, dare I say, blinded by this blind faith. And even they would choose a blind faith over DNA.
There's actually a book called The God Virus written by Dr. Darrell Ray that is a pretty interesting read.
Okay.
That follows that line of thinking and sees just how much religion can act like a virus. It's definitely, it's a fun read. And I really like Darrell, so I have no problem plugging.
What was that author's name again?
Dr. Darrell Ray.
Dr. Darrell Ray, okay.
Yeah.
God virus, gotcha.
All right, man.
I will definitely be looking at it. Well, I appreciate it. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but again, thank you. I'm going to keep watching. I've subscribed. I'm going to, you've got a fan for life. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, brother. You take care.
All right. You all take care.
Without God.
Jamie, I've been reading emails, and I actually got a message from a longtime listener, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. Aaron, I know it's been a while since I've been able to reach back, but I saw your message, and I'm so sorry to hear that your mother passed, but we're thinking about you, and we hope that you're okay. And we've gotten a lot of messages from people saying, hey, they appreciate what we're doing, or they feel like it made a difference in their lives, and I don't feel like there's anything that I can do, and I don't think Jamie I think Jamie will agree with me. I don't think there's anything that we have done that we feel deserves praise. But the fact that we're able to help people, it is honestly, man, the most satisfying thing that I feel like I've done with my life. And I'm really, really proud to be here.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And we are thinking of you, Aaron.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next caller. We've got a bunch of open lines. If you don't want to see Jamie and I vamp, you better call in. 1-512-686-0279. Kate in Ontario. You're live with Eric and Jamie. How's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
So,
sorry, I have a bit of a cold, so if I don't sound great, that's why. I hope I come out clear.
No worries. We've got some wizards behind the audio engineering aspect of things, so they're usually pretty good. What do you want to talk about today?
Awesome. Well, I'm a theist. I'm a polytheist, actually, and I thought I'd call in because I feel like I have a little bit of a different perspective than most of the theists who call your show, because I am perfectly willing to admit that there might very well not be any gods, either my gods or anyone else's gods. I don't know whether the gods exist, but unlike you who don't know whether gods exist and therefore don't believe in them, I don't know whether they exist, but I do still believe in them, and I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a point where I go through the logic of why I think I believe, and then I get to a point where I'm like, and there's a not logical step, and I don't know what it is, but I still believe. I don't know why.
So can I ask, it says here that you're listed as a polytheist, that you believe in multiple gods. Did you grow up in a faith tradition?
I grew up as a Christian.
Okay.
I eventually decided that I disagreed with some of the main doctrine of Christianity and therefore couldn't call myself a Christian anymore. And then went through a period of sort of looking at different sort of philosophies and religions and, atheism too. And I just kind of throughout all of that, I just still had this no, there's something. I don't know why I believe there is, but there is. Eventually I settled on actually Egyptian paganism. So I believe in the ancient Egyptian gods because that fits my moral, my my moral ethics better than any other sort of religion that I looked at or philosophy that I looked at. And also, they're kind of cool.
Okay.
Well, the Egyptian mythology, I'll agree, is kind of cool. There's one with the head of a jackal, and it's fun even to say the word jackal. But I don't think that has an effect on whether or not it's true. So when you say you believe in the Egyptian pantheon, you're saying you believe that these gods exist and influence the world around us? Question mark?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether they do or not.
Okay. So
I find though that it helps me if I pray to them and give them offerings and do things that people would generally consider worship.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that you not so much believe in this pantheon, but you pray to and worship this pantheon?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because depending on...
I feel like an element of belief kind of has to come from that, because otherwise, why would you bother?
That is a wonderful question, Kate.
I feel like it makes sense from a specific perspective to come to the conclusion, well, then I must believe. But that kind of only comes down to if you think that human brains trend naturally and unguided towards reason, and they don't. And I'm going to do less harping on that than I usually do, because I hit that note a little bit too heavily at every opportunity. But if when you're asked or when you think about, this God actually exists somewhere and it's actually doing this thing, if your question is, well, I guess I believe that because it helps me to pray and do, did you say sacrifices or rituals or something as well?
Offerings.
Offerings. Okay.
I give them, share my food with them.
Okay.
I'm going to tell a joke at your expense. Have you considered having a friend to share food with? No. So that can be a helpful exercise.
It's okay. In the Egyptian tradition, you get to eat the food afterwards, so none of the food goes to waste.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here. Katie? Kate? Is it Kate or Katie?
Kate. Yes.
Kate. So, Kate, this is an epistemic issue, right? This is there's a tool in your toolbox that you are using to determine the truth that we don't use. So let's take a look at this tool, right? Let's find out whether or not the tool that you are using allows you to get to truth. So what about the Egyptian pantheon makes it true over, say, the Norse pantheon or the Greek pantheon?
I don't know. They might all be true.
They might all be true.
False. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think those things are equally likely?
One pantheon of God exists. Again, I don't know. If one pantheon of gods exist, why can't other pantheons?
Sure. So let's find out how we can determine.
I don't believe that, for example, that the Christian God is all the omnis, because that would negate other pantheons of gods existing. And obviously, I follow a pantheon that is not that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that being might not exist somewhere.
Actually,
I don't know.
Well, let's kind of go into the basics of this. Does it matter to you whether or not these things are true?
Again, I feel like it.
Well, I mean,
probably matters at least a little bit, because I feel like if I thought they were completely false, I don't know if I would do the things that I do.
I hope you wouldn't.
Religious.
I hope you wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of baseball players that do weird rituals because they think that that's going to help them when they bat. But that doesn't mean that those things are true. If you knew that it was false, I would hope that you wouldn't do it. And beyond that, I think that it being true is the most important question that needs to be answered before you're going to dedicate your life to any kind of worship. Right? I mean, that has to be the most important thing. Otherwise, why would you be, worshiping something false?
Yeah, but also I found the thing is, like, for example, when I went from Christianity to not knowing not knowing anything, I found that my life was lacking without some kind of like religious ceremony or ritual. Like
oh my gosh,
having that.
I'm right there with you.
Something.
I'm so there with you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm giving you a hug through the phone. You have no idea. When I left Christianity, I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. Everybody has faith in something and I don't. And so for the longest time, I
didn't think I was broken particularly. It just, there is something missing when I don't have religiousness.
I will tell you, I thought I was broken. And I did look at different religions. And I did look at different...
I'm glad you no longer think you're broken.
And I'm glad that you don't. Because that's where I was going to go with this. Because that's the most important to me, is that you're not broken. Now, whether or not it's true, this is very important. And so how are we going to determine whether or not a pantheon is true? Well, let's start with life after death, right? Do we have any indicators that life after death is even possible? I'm not saying probable. I'm saying even possible.
We don't know.
We don't know.
By the same, I mean, no one's come back from after death. With the possible exception of Jesus, but that's not falsifiable, so.
Exactly. And if we follow this, right, if we take a look at the evidence and the fact that people who do, their heart stops for a little while, and then all of a sudden when they come back, they say, oh, afterwards I saw all of these things that fit my narrative, of what I think happens after I die. Or you have these different beliefs that
that's very convenient.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Or the idea that you get to go and populate a planet or a universe, or you get powers, or you get eternal happiness and all the cupcakes and tummy rubs you ever wanted, or that you get reincarnated, right? All of these are different. I mean, so different. They are all also mutually exclusive, right? And so it's not if it's there. Believe it when there's evidence. But right now, the best that we can come up with is that when you're dead... you're worm food.
Yeah. On the other hand, even when I was a Christian, the whole life after death thing wasn't really all that important to me.
Okay. So let's move to the next thing.
That's not why I believe in things, is because I want to continue after death. That's never sort of been a reason for
So I think
my belief.
Eric is touching on something here that's very important, which is whether or not something is true is the most important factor when considering whether or not to believe that it's true, right? In fact, it's the only factor that really matters at all. But let's talk about what you mean when you say pray and these rituals. Are these daily rituals? I'm trying to figure out what it is that you get out
daily,
of this.
But more. I'm not entirely sure how to do it. I guess it gives me some kind of comfort because I can sort of reach to something beyond myself. I also find that I tend to sort of view my gods as personifications of the world around me. So I see the sun and I'm like, oh, hey, there's Ra. And I see the moon and I'm like, oh, hey, there's Khonsu. And it gives me comfort. I mean, I also know the sun is the sun and the moon is the moon, and they're not gods, or there are no gods, dragging them around the sky or whatever.
Right.
But it gives me comfort to be able to say, hey, to whatever God is in charge of that, if you will.
When you say it gives you comfort to be able to say, hey, do you mean have a conversation with, or?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if I'm having problems or whatever, I will reach out to a relevant deity, if you will. The pantheon has lots of them. I don't talk to all of them all the time because that would be frankly ridiculous. There are hundreds. We don't know much about most of them.
Right. Kate, how do you know that you talk to any of them?
I don't.
So why do you do it? Because it makes you feel good?
Yes.
Yeah, it gives me comfort.
Okay.
And I mean, I have...
Does
I guess that's it. I don't know.
Right. If something makes you feel good, does that make it true?
Not necessarily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example.
It might make it useful, though.
I can imagine that I have the winning lottery ticket, right, to the Mega Millions, which I just passed by a gas station. Holy crap, it's high right now. Right? I could imagine that I've got this winning lottery ticket, and that could make me feel really good. But does that make it true?
No.
Okay. So
I guess the thing is, assuming you don't necessarily use this to influence, like, important decisions in your life.
I actually think that
I don't know if it necessarily...
It does.
Well,
it does. And whether you want to or not, it does. Right? Because this is an epistemic issue. It's a line of reasoning that if you follow will have an influence in other places in your life, and you may not recognize it now, but it could. It could have an influence on where you vote or where you fall morally or ethically along different lines. It could influence how you treat people in your life, right? There are people who don't say "I love you" to family members when they die, and they go, "Oh, I can see."
I realize that there are people who do use religion. I'm not saying that all religion is inherently harmless, because,
right,
kind of thing. Because there are obviously people who use religion and use it in a harmful way, and whose beliefs cause harm. I don't know that necessarily my beliefs, given that I mostly just, use it to comfort myself, if you will. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know that is a cause of harm.
Is the world that we live in enough? Couldn't it just
I don't know.
Kate, we're alive. We're sentient. We're conscious. We're making decisions, and we're living these lives trying to find our happiness. We're on a tiny ball. We're on a tiny rock that's spinning around this ball of flame that's just this tiny, tiny part of a much bigger universe. And we are alive. We're able to take that time to find love and to find fulfillment, to create meaning for ourselves and our own lives, and to work to achieve that meaning, right? We have families, right? And we watch those children grow. We have so many amazing, wonderful things right here that we can create with each other. Is the idea of what is likely a fabricated, deity, right? This other theism. Why would the scaffolding be more appealing? It's kind of blowing my mind, because number one, I can't think of heaven as something that makes me happy anymore. Because there's no amount of coddling, there's no amount of convincing that I can do to myself that's going to make me comforted by that anymore, because I know it's not true, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, number one, either A, you're trying to trick yourself and you really know that it's not true, at which point I am going to say that in time it's going to fade away, right? And if it does fade away, I guarantee you there's an amazing world out there. Nothing is lost. Things are better. Things are better because we're never going to know everything. That means that we give ourselves permission to explore. We get to go out and grow and learn and work together, and then build on the people before us so that people after us can build on us. Right? That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's why I don't want to say I know these things, because I don't know. And not knowing gives us, like you said, space to learn the things.
Right. Learning true things is important. But holding on to untrue things because they make us feel good, I got to say I'm not on board, Kate.
That's fair.
Yeah. So again, it's important to know whether or not the things that you believe are true. But you're going through and you're doing these rituals and you're thinking about the sun as a god and the moon as a god. And you've said earlier, like, oh yeah, but I know the sun is the sun. How familiar are you with nuclear fusion? Because I don't really have a full understanding even of that, which is what makes the sun the sun.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with it. I know that It's a ginormous nuclear reaction that's going to keep going for
Can I tell you
years until it...
something about what I do that I think I probably do things like this less frequently than you. And
okay.
I don't do these things in relation to any ancient myths or legends. But when I gained and continue to gain a greater understanding of the natural world and human psychology, What you're describing is what the kids these days might call a brain hack, which is you do something, it doesn't really relate to anything, it doesn't really have an effect on the natural world or your situation or whatever, but it is a kind of shortcut to affect your mental state.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's no particular reason that needs to be wrapped up in any religious tradition, and there's no particular reason that has to attach to any belief whatsoever, right? There are things that I do that are rituals that have no attachment to any true belief whatsoever. I do them because I know that doing them will make me happy. Celebrating birthdays is that, right? And you expect that there's a cake, right? The thing that makes religion poisonous is it latches onto that natural human tendency of wanting to do this thing because it will make you happy, and then it assigns an unworldly supernatural importance to the birthday cake, and if you've made the cake incorrectly, you're a heathen and you must be killed, right? And that's the point at which you've gone too far, right? I don't see a harm in birthday cakes as long as we recognize that the only value that the birthday cake brings by being decorated a specific way or having specific words on it is the effect that it has directly on human psychology. Right. So
it makes us happy to celebrate birthdays together.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I would say that can probably help based on the way that you've described the rituals and the quote unquote worship that you engage in is gaining a deeper understanding of the natural world and of human psychology and skepticism. Because originally when you called, you said, I love Christianity, I don't believe this, I looked at a bunch of pantheons and I don't really believe they're true, but I do this worship. Why do I do that, right? A couple of times on this call you've said, well, if I'm doing these, these rituals, I'm going through these motions, it must mean that there's a part of my brain that believes it's true. And I don't agree with that conclusion. Like the human brain doesn't seek truth, it seeks pleasure. Right? Our minds avoid things that are painful and seek things that are pleasurable. And there's a natural tendency in there to enjoy feeling like you know things and feeling like you're right and feeling safe, and a natural tendency to not like feeling like you don't know things, feeling like you're not alone, and feeling like you're unsafe. And one of the ways that the lower parts of the human brain short circuits the potential of like the sort of frontal lobe and higher reasoning skills is by saying, no, just stop thinking you are safe. There is a God, right?
Yeah.
And so the danger with having rituals that are linked to a religion is that it allows that sort of, using hacker slang that's understood in common parlance, is it allows a backdoor for, malicious religious code to get in. And we don't want to have that happen. One of the things that allows me to feel comfortable in the conclusions that I have in my understanding of the world and where I am is a deep dive into skepticism and how the brain works and why it mostly fails.
Yeah.
Book title Dibs.
Interesting.
Well, and there's actually another book that Trisha Yamada in the comments suggests, and I can't help but say abso-fucking-lutely. Carl Sagan wrote a book called Demon Haunted World.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about it, check
I've read that.
You have?
It's very.
I've read it, but I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also.
It was a few years ago now. I don't remember a lot of it, but I do think I read that one.
Yeah.
Actually, in specific reference to Demon Haunted World, there's a story that he tells about being picked up by a cab driver who has the same name as some celebrity. I forget which one. Oh, do you remember the story I'm referencing?
Yeah, I do. I just sort of vaguely remember. It was a cab driver, and he was started talking and couldn't believe that this cab driver believed in all sorts of, I guess.
But the point
weird
was
and unusual.
The cab driver was asking him because he went, "Oh, you're named Carl Sagan. You must have the same thing I am, where you have the name of a famous person." And Carl Sagan got to say, "No, I am actually that Carl Sagan." And so this cab driver, who was interested in all kinds of things, like I don't think healing crystals was one of them, but psychic phenomenon and Atlantis and other things like that. And
I don't remember what his set of beliefs were.
I remember that Atlantis was one of them.
It's been a while since I've read it.
Carl Sagan's response was that he was kind of heartbroken because here was this person who desperately wanted to see wonder in the world and was fed crap instead. And so was wondering about Atlantis and, Big Feet or whatever. And my response is sort of like, okay, well, pantheons are cool. History and sociology are cool. The natural sciences are also really cool, right? Like I can look at this table in a couple of ways that's more interesting than noting the items on it because of philosophy and science, right? So Albert Camus is a philosopher whose work I find really influential because it allows you to examine how absurd it is that, somewhere there is a factory that went through whatever chemical processes, I don't know which specifically were necessary to make this amount of plastic and some amount of mechanical machinery that I could never design because I don't have the knowledge or expertise to make it into this ridiculous shape and all of that so that it could be wrapped inside another amount of plastic with well-marketed water in it so that it could arrive here so that I could drink water out of weird liquefied chemically transformed rocks that are crinkly and that I've managed to not annoy Vern by crinkling into the microphone. And I can also look at this table and think about how the influence of the forces of gravity and the normal force and what amount of water sloshing at what force back and forth would cause it to tip over or to not tip over, right? All it takes is a little bit of understanding to start wondering about the normal things in your life in a way that you wouldn't have been able to imagine you could just think on your own. A little bit of knowledge is a beautiful thing. It can also be really dangerous because with just a little bit of knowledge and some arrogance, you can get some really wild conspiracy theories and then post them online for my reading enjoyment. But the point is, I would encourage you to seek a greater understanding of the natural world, particularly human psychology as it relates to skepticism.
Yeah, I feel like there should be an atheist conspiracy joke I can make here, but I'm not thinking of it.
You know what?
There was a caller a couple weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
I know, that's what made me think about it, who thought you were all part of an atheist.
I wish. I really, really wish. George Soros, I'm still waiting for that call. Call me.
Yeah, I know. I'm really proud of the accomplishments that we've done here, but imagine how proud I would be if I'd done it globally.
If you'd gone international and
done it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean,
if we can get the conspiracy going.
If all you need are 2 countries for international, we've done that. We have viewers outside the U.S.
Right now, we are all of our support actually is $1 and $2 donations. But maybe someday if more people are interested. But right now it is the $1 and $2 donations that keep these lights on and keep us here in front of the microphones. Kate, I'm going to let you go. I think we're going to move on to the next call.
Only if you promise to keep in touch.
That's fair. Okay.
All right.
You've given me plenty of things to think about. So
definitely as many true things as few false things. If it's not real, Kate, there's no good reason to believe it. Period. At all. No matter how good it makes you feel. It's just like thinking that you've got that winning lottery ticket. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Give us a call back.
Go with reason and an open and inquiring mind.
All right. I'm watching people
better than God.
I'm watching people donate to the live chat, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who is donating live on the live chat. I do want to remind you all that 100% of whatever you donate in the live chat does come in to us. ACA. YouTube is no longer taking a cut. The ACA is getting 100% of that donation. So thank you so much. Yeah. So I have 2 callers.
The secret cause.
I have 2 callers on. So we're going to take our 2 callers. But if you don't want to see us vamp right behind the scenes, give us a call. 512-686-0279.
Excuse me, sir. We have 2 callers. Just because my computer isn't working.
Means I have 2 callers. Arielle is one of them in California.
You farted.
Arielle.
Hi, Eric. Hi, Eric and Jamie. I think you did a wonderful job talking to Kate.
Oh, thank you, Arielle.
I'm a former polytheist, and in fact, I was a polytheist priestess, and can honestly say I wasted almost a half a century in service to my imaginary friends.
Oh man! So, question for you.
It was a waste.
What was the waste? What was the cost of that?
Well, Kate mentioned rituals, and I spent an enormous amount of my energy, time, and money working for various pagan organizations. It's very energy intensive. I remember when I was reading Richard Dawkins, and he was talking in the God Delusion, and he talked about what a huge resources people spend on religion, and he was absolutely correct. And also what you said to Kate about malicious religious code getting in happened and is happening. And it's happening more and more in the neo-pagan and heathen movements. And when I say heathen from a religious standpoint, I'm talking about the Germanic polytheist pantheons like Thor and Odin. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, I miss my imaginary friends terribly, but just like you said, they're not real. And I have to tell you, when I left my religion, it broke my heart. And I felt very much, I think it was Jamie that mentioned that, you mentioned that you felt like when you didn't have your rituals anymore, you felt lost. And I was completely devastated. I felt like all the ground had crumbled under my feet, and I had spent so many decades working for these organizations, and it wasn't true. Yeah. You know, and you said about how you can get things wrong. I remember when two of our greatest leaders, one of them was Isaac Bonewitz, who started a Druid movement, and Margot Adler, who was a very famous NPR reporter, and she worshipped the Greek pantheon. And they both had cancer, and this was just a few years ago. We have a lot of people in our movement that are into alternative medicine, and they use homeopathic remedies, and they use crystals, and they put energy into stuff. Like you can take an item and put energy into it with your mind, and you send it to the person. It's sort of like a good luck charm or an amulet. Yeah. And we all prayed for them, and they died anyway. They died anyway because you couldn't do anything about the kind of cancers they had. It was too late. And I just remember asking my God, these two wonderful people, and they were relatively quite young, why did you just let them die? And that was the beginning. But then there were other things, too, where things were going wrong. And I actually called on another one of your ACA shows and talked about how some of the neo-Nazis have the Germanic pantheon, and they were using their religion as a reason to exclude anybody who wasn't white from their organizations and maybe even from the country, because they marched in Charlottesville. Yeah. And that was a group that's just a few miles up the road from where I live.
Oh, my goodness.
So I can say...
Yeah, so I wanted to say... Go ahead.
I didn't want to cut you off, but...
No, I'm just rambling on at this point. If you have any questions that you think would help other polytheists or pagans...
Yeah, so... before we get into the details of that, I have to insist that you reach out to us and give us some way of contact, because they're...
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, just to let you know real quick, I'm giving a talk at the Reason Center in Sacramento. This isn't a plug. This is a free thing, okay? Hey. And it's the Sacramento Free Thinkers and Non-Believers on October the 28th, Sunday, at 1 p.m. And I will be doing about a half an hour session where I explain to thinkers and non-believers about what my religion was and why it was the fastest growing religion in the United States for a while. And also, I'm going to take half an hour worth of questions at least, and the half an hour is going to be completely interactive, where I ask atheists and non-believers what they think about this, and I can learn from them, because for half a century, I had no clue that there was even an atheist movement.
Yeah, we need to get you in the speaker series.
I would...
We need to do this.
Thank you.
Reach out.
I don't know if I'll try. I'm just
that sounds amazing.
At this sort of thing.
Well, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And
reach out to us, because there's also what I was going to say is I know at least one person is doing research, and there's two people that would be interested to hear you directly on this. There's a person that did research on these groups for law enforcement that I know, that wrote a report like here's these guys, here's these hate groups, they've adopted this religious thing. He wrote it 18 months later, he's like, oh my gosh, those are the guys I wrote about on the news in Charlottesville.
Yeah, there's some dangerous stuff out there. It was shocking to me. I read about torture. I read about people wanting to revive human sacrifice. I don't mean literally, I mean metaphorically, but I remember crying for 3 days after that happened. And I went to those people and I said, you can't be serious. I don't care if it is a metaphor.
Yeah.
This is not what we want to, we don't want to do that. We don't want, and then I began to realize it was just like all the other religions when they get extremists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go all hard. If you mess up the birthday cake, we're gonna burn you instead of the candles. That's when that's when your fun little ritual that you do with your friends has gone to. It's all fun and games until someone actually believes it's real.
That's
You can have an Easter egg hunt as long as no one thinks that an actual giant rabbit hid them overnight.
So
those are the rules, I would say.
So I do have questions for you. I want to kind of wrap us back in.
Absolutely.
We are wrapped in.
Okay.
Now, just to let you know, I'm not an expert. I mean, I'm an expert in the sense that I was a priestess, but there's a lot of different varieties of neo-paganism out there. So I'll answer from what I experienced.
Okay. Number one, how do you become a priestess?
Well, it depends on which particular neo-pagan group you're in. In my particular case, I started when I was in my 20s, and I was initiated into British traditional Wicca. And you do have to have a real initiation, and it is quite a process.
Okay.
I eventually left Wicca because it just wasn't satisfying my spiritual needs. That's the other problem, is I kept going not quickly from group to group. I stay in groups for like 10, 15 years.
Okay. What spiritual needs? What spiritual needs are you talking about? Like what? What wasn't being met?
Well, for me, I will say that I got into religion for emotional reasons because I wanted a sense of family and community.
Sure.
And I wasn't finding that. I found a lot of people fighting, just like in other religions. And I actually wound up leaving Wicca because I had so many people arguing with me. I did not believe in reincarnation, and I still don't. I never did. But I thought it might be possible, like Kate. I would kind of say, well, I don't know, right? But I didn't believe it was true for me because I had no past life memories. And we had mediums in my family. So I thought, well, as a psychic, I was considered psychic. I figured, well, I could remember my past lives, but I didn't. And so I tell people I don't have a belief in reincarnation. And they would argue with me. One guy said to me, well, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it isn't true.
Oh, I heard that a lot of times. Arielle.
I said,
hold on.
Go ahead.
You said you were psychic? You thought you were psychic?
I believed I was psychic. My family has mediums, and I had many, many religious and spiritual and psychic experiences. But they were not reliable, and that's why later I figured out they weren't true. It was
that's good.
Yeah.
But it was shock.
Actually, can you talk about the process that you went through where you figured out they weren't reliable?
Yes, I can. Well, I have to tell you that for me personally, a lot of the things I did as a priestess were very, very reliable. Now I realize it was just probability, okay? So I would do magic and I would do predictions. But finally, at one point, I got into shamanism, which has become really big in both the New Age and the neo-pagan movement. And I started doing not channeling, but you do this journeying like the shamans in South America do. Mm-hmm. And our pretext for that was, I was Celtic mostly and also Germanic, but our pretext was that there were so many things in common between the historical records of the Indo-Europeans and the Native Americans that we felt that they were very similar. So we thought it was okay to do the shamanic journeying. And I started doing it with my ancestors, and I met them and I went through them.
Hold on. So this was cultural appropriation that you all had determined was okay?
Damn straight.
Okay, go on. Just making sure.
It was awful.
Yeah, I'm just trying to consolidate and make sure that we're on the same.
That's what actually wound up making me leave, because what happened was this one person started to basically use me for her own business, and she had this pyramid scheme with these essential oils. Mm-hmm. And I knew her for 10 years, and I thought she was a wonderful person, but she started using me to go into these psychic journeys. And I asked these, and I was worried. There's a long story to it, but basically I got to be suspicious that there was something wrong. So I asked my ancestors, is something wrong? And they said, no, everything's okay. You're doing great. And they started giving me answers. And then I found out she was using me. and also that she had done that a lot of other times with other people, and no one in the community had reported it.
It's not enough that you're talking to dead people. You got to smell good too.
I know, huh? You know what? I took some of those oils and they made me sick.
Yeah, well, that's because a lot of that stuff gets toxic. But I think that we're going to move on to the next call. I do want to
actually. We were in the middle of a story. The question that I asked before Eric jumped in was, can you talk about what happened that made you realize these methods weren't reliable? And you were saying that you used these methods that your ancestors said that everything was fine.
And it wasn't okay at all.
Okay.
It wasn't okay, and everything they told me was a lie.
Hey, so when you say they told you, is this like a shaman trance or?
Right. They told me lies, and then I realized they weren't lies because those beings weren't real. And I was doing exactly what you told Kate to watch out for. I was relying on an imaginary thing that was informing my actions. And I have to tell you, my whole life, I did everything. I got married. I did my jobs. Everything was based on my religion. And none of that was real. And not only that, it didn't make me happy or anybody else happy in the long run because it wasn't true.
Hey. And so you've said that all of your jobs were based on your religion.
Yeah.
What are you doing now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm retired. Yay. I'm retired, and I've discovered, just like you guys said, that the world is fantastic the way it is.
Yeah.
And I'm having the best time of my life. I'm working full-time as an artist, and I don't have to sell anything unless I want to. I don't have to speak unless I want to. Before, I used to, facilitate meetings at my company, and I was always working the highest paid jobs I could get so I could put the money back into my religion. And now I just have a nice life. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, here, so if you promise to reach out to us, I think we can...
Well, actually, we have a call screener waiting for me to put you on hold. That way they can talk to you and get your information.
Yeah.
So we're going to pop you back on hold. It was good talking to you.
It was good talking to you, Eric and Jamie.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
Sorry about that, Jamie. I jumped in, and that was rude of me. I apologize.
Let's not set that standard, that we have to apologize when we interrupt. It's a joke.
Mick in Hollywood, you're live with Eric and Jamie. How's it going?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. I'm not really sure how to start this.
That's okay.
Cool. What did you want to talk about?
I just want to say thank you for letting everyone call in, because I've been watching your show for a little while now.
Yay.
And I've always wanted to call in, but I don't know. Something today just told me to do it.
All right. Maybe it was God.
Yeah. Let's hope not.
Boo, I got a boo in the audience. Yeah. This is my first boo from the audience. I'm pretty happy about this.
Go for a second one. Go for a second one.
All right. So what do you want to talk about?
A little background. I've come from a pretty religious family. Mm-hmm. I went to school and, I did a lot of Sunday school. My parents taught Sunday school. We did church every Sunday. And, as an adult, I find myself not too much into that with my family. I identify as an atheist now. And it's a little difficult because my whole family is just so enveloped in this religion to the point where I'm scared that if I vocalize my truths or my for what they'll consider an opinion, even though I consider it to be the truth, they'll pretty much just back away from me. And I have a niece that I'm worried about. I don't want her to grow up in a world where she thinks that, religion is everything and it's the defining factor, because I truly believe it was harmful for me to grow up in that kind of environment. And it's difficult. I'm not quite sure how to navigate through this particular part of my life now, because I feel like I'm always walking around eggshells.
Yeah.
And, I love my family. It's infuriating sometimes.
Yeah. Totally understood. Well, there are a couple things you can do. There is the outward facing and the inward facing, right? So in the outward facing, if you get the chance, if you can and are able, Southern California has a lot of good secular groups. I would suggest connecting with them. And also, if you like what we do, share, like, and subscribe. It doesn't just matter. Like, it's not just that, it's not just donations, right? If everyone watching, we have 758 people watching right now. And out of that 758, 122 upvotes. But if we moved that up, right? If we were able to get more likes and more subscriptions, we would be bumped up further in what is recommended by YouTube. And by doing that, you would actually be doing your part to help get us out in front of more people, right? And so that is one thing that you can do. You can also share. I'm sorry, I'm shilling out because I'm taking this opportunity.
No,
but
that's important because everyone needs that community. And to be honest, like I have a group of friends that feels like a community enough. But I know that I feel like talking to people within that community that have dealt with it, because my friends didn't grow up in the same kind of general. I don't want to call it brainwashing, but it felt like brainwashing. I felt like when I really opened my eyes and I realized what was happening, and especially being like younger than some of the people around me, it was just really shocking because people should be allowed to question things. People should be allowed to go out and figure out their own things, learn things for their own, take science for a fact and not just a suggestion. That's, this world is going to be crumbling if people don't do things like that. And it's
well, take the method.
Infuriating.
Take the scientific method as the most reliable way to come to know true things, for sure.
Yeah. Can I ask what religion it was that you were raised in specifically?
Yeah, I was raised into Catholicism, but I do have a few people within my family who are like born again Christians. So I kind of had to fight it off from both sides. So it was a little. A lot.
What's funny is I spent a lot of time in North Hollywood, so I probably spent a lot of time around your stomping grounds. If you spend a lot of time but in your personal life, it can depend so much on your relationship with your family. I can give you a couple pointers
because I do have a strong relationship with them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So long as it's not toxic, and it doesn't sound that way. But I've got a few pointers for you. Number one, what helped me the most during the holidays when we got together for, Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and that kind of stuff, when everyone got together to pray, I, instead of sitting out and being really awkward, I remember I said, you know what? It's okay, you guys. I respect your faith tradition. Please don't feel uncomfortable about doing this in front of me. And it totally flipped what they were expecting. And they went, oh yeah, okay, we're going to pray, and all of a sudden there wasn't this weird expectation. It didn't get really wonky. And I was considered very generous. Give that a shot. It worked. At least it worked for me.
And
go ahead.
The thing with that is I do kind of do that. They just, I guess I haven't vocalized to them, like my lack of belief, I guess.
Oh.
Because that's genuine. Like that's the genuine problem is once that happens, I know that it's kind of like a wall will shut down or they'll be like, oh, she died and she's not a part of the family anymore. And I'm a little scared of that because my family means so much to me. It's ridiculous.
Do you expect that might happen with your family?
I mean, I've kind of seen it with other family members from, I don't want to say close family members because no one in my close family has really gone through this, but I have had like distant relatives that have gone through this process. And it was started off of something as small as like getting a tattoo. And they were like, oh my God, you ruined your life. That's God's body, not yours, and this and that. And it's like, well, I don't know what you guys are going to feel about my multiple tattoos. Or
yeah, that's real weird.
I feel kind of like a double life, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know how to merge them, and it's so stressful having to balance.
Well, financial dependence can be another really hard issue. Are you able to be independent from them, or are you reliant on them?
I am actually independent from them. Sometimes they're reliant on me.
Hey!
It's not really...
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're that close with them, do you think that they don't have an idea? I mean, you don't go to church with them, do you?
I know my parents do, and I feel like my parents won't mind so much. It's more like my aunts and my sisters that I'd be a little more worried about.
What's funny is when my family started finding out that I don't believe. It was the family members who were so holier than thou that they couldn't really, do anything without it being because God told them to. Those are the ones who don't talk to me anymore. And I gotta admit, it really wasn't a big loss. It might not be the same for you, but there's a toxicity to that. The last time I went to church, it was for a wedding, and I went back to my old church, and they had these pictures on the walls of every time that they went to a third world country and built shitty huts. Have you heard the term the Great White Hope?
Look at how great we are.
Yeah, no, it was the Great White Hope. It was all these middle class white people going to all the brown people and making all their problems better, and it was just real icky. It was real, real weird. If you come out as an atheist, there is a good chance that you may lose a few people, or even maybe one person. But if that's the case, that does weigh against. I'm glad that you know that you probably won't lose your core family group. That is really, really important. After that, there's just some mental calculus about whether or not you living your honest life is worth you losing a few members of that family. And really, you're not losing them. They're losing you, right? You're not telling them, I don't want to talk to you. They're deciding that they can't be involved in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's up to you, but you're not doing anything wrong by being honest with the people that you love. And if other people feel like it's wrong that you're being honest with the people that you love, then that reflects very poorly on them, but not on you.
True. Thank you. I hear people clapping in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me feel real good.
Yeah. No, yeah. I heard the claps and I was like, mentally, that's what I'm doing as well.
All right.
Yeah, because I think that's really the thing is, like, I think I just needed to hear that from someone who isn't directly next to me. Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
from a genuine outside perspective.
You've got a big hug from Jamie and I and all the people in the studio audience and all the people on the other side of the wall. We're cheering for you. We're rooting for you. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. And let us know.
I do just want to say, like, thank you to you guys, like, just again, one more time, because to be very honest, I found you guys through my boyfriend and he started playing you guys. And at first I was like, okay, what are you guys like? What are you watching? Because the callers were like absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But after a while, it was kind of like, oh my God, I know how to navigate through situations with these people now because I see these people all the time. And I used to work in a situation with these people, and just listening to the way that you guys talk to them, it really, really helped me learn how to navigate through those situations like safely and without yelling and on the high ground. So I just want to thank you guys for that. And shout out to all the other people who are feeling the same.
You're also getting a huge amount of love in the live chat. I suggest you check out the live chat because they're all sending you hugs as well.
Positive emojis.
Oh, yeah. I'll go check it out.
Yeah. And
all right.
What I will say is, and let us know what you decide and what you do and what's going on. Keep in touch.
Yes. And your boyfriend sounds awesome.
Yeah, because as much...
He is. He's a pretty awesome guy,
Yeah. Well,
his name is Matt, so...
Hi, Matt.
Well, you're always welcome to visit because we're here as well. But keeping in mind that in the same way that you watching us talk to other callers helped you, you've kind of already helped by calling in and having this conversation with us. So if it's worth anything to you, you are helping other people too. So
it is.
Oh,
love rings.
You're situation is hard.
You're getting love rings from the back.
No, I started those by gesturing at them. That's how tech works.
So we're going to move on, but thank you so much for calling in.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, of course, guys.
Definitely let us know.
Inspired and have a great day. Of course, I will. I will definitely be calling you guys back.
Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, before we move on to the next caller, I do want to take a moment to thank our top 5 patrons.
Our top 5 patrons. And who are our top 5 patrons?
Well, before we move to our top 5 patrons, I also want to say, call us.
I was going to say that as soon as you finished. I was going to say, and now everyone should know that Eric Murphy is terrified for his life because there are more than 20 minutes left. There's one person on the line.
For shame,
and
people.
He is trapped in a room with me, potentially alone.
Don't
to
do
have
this to
conversations.
Me. Call in
It's
with
gonna
awesome
be so
topics.
much fun.
Be a religious caller that wants to rip into me
You'll
and
be
Jamie,
here.
and it'll be
You can't
fantastic.
ask the caller a question in order to cut me off.
All right.
There will be no escape.
I don't want this. Nobody wants this. Okay, this is a bad time to have stopped wearing pants on the show. I can't run away. Okay, so I want to thank our top 5 patrons. Our top 5 patrons are Nando Gonzalez, Janet
Nando.
Reyes, our own Janet Reyes,
Janet.
David Arland,
David.
Lynette Ann Cross, and Dale Smith.
Lynette and Dale.
So Nando, Janet, David, Lynette, and Dale, thank you so much for being our top 5 patrons. If it wasn't for you and all of our other patrons, we wouldn't be able to keep this going. This is a 501c3 nonprofit. That means that it is donations that keeps us going. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're able to keep this building open 7 days a week now. We're able to provide local community, and we're able to provide more fucking shows, which
Way
is
more
amazing.
shows. Oh, my
I mean,
Lord.
I can't wait for
Lord, it doesn't exist.
Truth Wanted after the atheist experience.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Callers
Lines are going nuts. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Let's
And I
get
will say,
to-
helping us build local community, you may not live in Austin and you may not have plans to visit. One, you should change the second one. You should visit. We have events that are open to people for all over. The Bat Week 2019, we've already started laying the groundwork for it. It's going to be amazing. But also, it lets us build a play-by-play book for building local community to help you start this where you are. So
Yeah. All right. And this entire time, Dominic in Utah has been on the line.
Dominic in Utah.
You're live with Eric and Jamie.
Oh my gosh, am I really on?
You're
Yeah.
really on. Hey.
Wow. Yeah, guys, I just want to apologize. I know there might be a lot of echo. I'm talking from inside my car because, unfortunately, my uncle who I live with out here in Utah he's a theist, and I'm still kind of in the closet, and there's a legitimate fear of me being kicked out. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
Do what it takes to make you safe. I hope you're using a pseudonym.
yeah.
no, it's fine. He's never on the internet. He's old.
I was going to say,
Okay.
If you're not, pretend
Anyway,
you are.
Yeah, sorry. So what we're going to talk about today is how to discuss philosophical concepts with people who may not be literate in them. See, my problem is, because even before I was an atheist, when I was a theist, I always touted myself as like an intellectual theist. I wasn't listening to the Kent Hovens. I was listening more to the William Lane Craigs and those type of guys. So I always touted myself as one of those people. So I'm very well versed in, the concepts of like the burden of proof and the watchmaker argument and rebuttals to the arguments of fine tuning.
Sure.
I always find when talking to millennials, people my age, I'm 20, they always just revert back to logical fallacies. I just got into an argument on Twitter the other day where someone said, well, can you prove that God doesn't exist?
Yeah.
And I tried to explain the burden of proof, and it seemed like it wasn't getting past them. Another example would be that someone said, I can't think of it right now, but anyway, so the burden of proof, let's just go on with that. I don't know a good way to articulate that to someone who may not be versed in these concepts, because these concepts, when you're surrounded by them, when you listen to them so much, you don't have to think about it. So when someone describes the watchmaker argument, you already can go to your like Matt says, or I think Matt Dillhunty said this, your toolbox. You kind of already have your response in your toolbox.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It totally depends on whether or not they want to have that conversation with you. There are some people who just don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, and no matter how much you want to guide them into it, it's just not going to happen.
I've noticed that, especially with the younger. Sorry for cutting you off. But
No, that's okay.
especially with the younger.
Jamie cuts me off all the time.
Especially with the younger. Yeah, especially with the younger kids. People my age.
Yeah.
Sure.
My philosophy is there isn't really a lot of true Christians in terms of young people. I mean, yeah, you have your online YouTubers, your people in your mid-20s, but your everyday, millennial teenagers,
Well,
I can think
It's
of
like 50-50.
5 people off the top of my head. who are claim to be Christian, but have kids and they're not married, who get drunk on the daily. So
two things to that. The first is you don't want to get caught up in the no true Scotsman fallacy.
That's true.
You don't want to be that person. What we do is we wait for people to call in and we ask them what they believe and then meet them where they're at. Because it's very, very easy to fall into this straw man where, you don't follow or you don't fit my definition of Christian, but maybe they fit their own. And so we've got to kind of take them where they're at because, if we don't believe them, we don't believe them, but that doesn't mean that we should be defining for them what they should be believing. Right?
That's true. So go off of what they believe, not necessarily what we believe.
No, meet them where they're at. Because especially if you're having these epistemic arguments, you can have that argument no matter where they're at. Because no matter what you're talking about, and it doesn't even need to be about religion, as long as you're talking about why you believe a thing to be true, what tools you're using, you're going to be doing them a favor. You're going to be helping them benefit from analyzing what they find true and not true about the world around them. And one other thing that I would say is you said that somebody asked you, how do you prove that God is not there?
Yeah, I did not. I cut that off real quick. I was not going to go into that spiel. I know, I know where that leads to, and I'm not gonna even entertain that thought.
In the best way that I've gone with it, that I'm pretty proud of, is just asking them, can you name anything that you can prove doesn't exist? Because you can't really prove a negative. Right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And so, you could say there are all these omnis that belong to a God that just doesn't give a fuck about us, right? And you can't prove that God doesn't exist, but you actually have to prove that there's a chance that it does before you even get to bring it into the conversation.
Yeah. Actually, to add on to that, this is kind of maybe off the topic. My original question and all that has been answered, and you guys are really, really helping me out with that. That's really interesting. But to kind of break off from that, so you guys are, I heard it from you guys. You guys are familiar with Hitchens' razor, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think that can be applied to the Kavanaugh hearing? Because, Hitchens' razor, if you or listening who don't know, it's that which is asserted without evidence can be discredited without evidence.
No.
And should that be applied? Do you think that should be applied?
No. Testimony from a witness is evidence. Sorry. If you want to speak in legal terms, if a person is saying, hey, I was in this place and I saw this thing, then they are giving you testimonial evidence of a particular occurrence.
So, the evidence really depends on what it is that you're trying to prove. So, if you're saying that a
dragon exists,
then you need to actually show dragon-type evidence, right? Yeah. But the existence of sexual assault is a thing that we know exists in this world, right? We know people, right? You're talking to one of them right now, right? I am a victim of sexual assault. Right, it's not.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, me too. But the more we talk about it, the better. The only reason I bring it up is because I'm saying it's not that uncommon.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need a ridiculous amount of evidence to prove that it exists. What you need to do is you need to go into the particulars of whatever the situation was. But to say that that it even follows the same, right? What Hitchens was doing is he was saying, hey, we're asserting that there's all of these things like anything can be all powerful, right? Anything, there's a way that you can define all knowing or all loving, and all of these different characteristics that we just cannot show exist in the real world, right? Yeah. We can try and define them into existence, but until you can actually show that any of those things can exist, right? If you're just saying it without evidence, then you can say, no, right? Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, what I will say is this: I've seen this happen with a lot of people that find atheism and start to understand, common, logically fallacious arguments, right? To quoque with anything political is the first one you're going to get. Oh yeah, well, the other candidate did it too, so it's okay, is the first thing you'll hear anyone defending anyone say, right? There's a lot of these common arguments that happen about things that we know exist, right? We know that elections happen. We know that sexual assault happens, right? And that makes arguing about evidence for a sexual assault different than arguing about evidence for a God, because people give testimonials that they saw God all the time. The reason that we have a start from a different place with these arguments is we know sexual assault happens. That's not the issue. That we're debating there is whether one particular instance of it happened. We don't know that God has ever appeared to anyone ever, right? So if you wanted to make an argument,
so many different interpretations.
No, it's an entirely different argument. The evidence for this particular incident happened is very different than evidence for an entire concept, right? And the reason that the God claim is on much broader terms is that it hasn't even met those terms.
Right on.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I was just trying to get you guys' opinion on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a very young atheist. I don't even think I even said to myself I was an atheist until maybe about 6-7 months ago.
Hey, so welcome, man.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I still think I'm in that, aggressive atheistic phase of my life where I just want to debate and just reassure myself like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And I think, you guys are probably not longer, so you guys have more experience. Maybe and I've kind of noticed this with myself, the longer I've been out and been open as an atheist, the less I want to argue, because I already know the arguments, because there's really only maybe 100 of the same types of arguments. So
that's a generous number.
I realize not to waste my time with these and just kind of go throughout life, and if it comes up in a very respectable conversation, I'm more than willing to give my opinion. But other than that, I'm not going to go seek out an argument about God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it sounds like you wouldn't enjoy doing what we do as much as we do.
We absolutely love doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll be there one day with a show out here in Utah. I was really surprised in how big the atheist community, or not how big, but how prominent the atheist community out here in Utah is. So.
Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, actually. Actually, Salt Lake City is gearing up to be the Austin of Utah as far as atheism.
It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I do know that one of my favorite podcasts, Thank God I'm Atheist, is out there.
Yeah.
So if those guys... oh my gosh, you need to find them, and then tell them that the show exists, and then tell them that I want to talk to them because they're fucking
and tell
amazing.
them that we sent you, so that you finding them gives us credibility in their eyes. And then,
we'll help each other out.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
humans helping humans. That's how things get done.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You take care, brother.
Thank you guys so much. This has been an awesome conversation. I definitely want to call back again. You guys are so interesting to talk to. I was longing for another show. Not that I hate it, but I was longing for another show outside the atheist experience. I was like, I love these guys, but I just want to hear other perspectives. And then when I found you guys, I literally was jumping up during work, during my lunch break, like, oh my God, there's another show like this.
Hey.
So,
you
guys are doing great work. You guys really helped me out. You guys have really stimulated
if you cry, I'm going to cry.
My brain. It's really stimulated the intellectual part of my brain, and I'm so excited to read more and more books, listen to more and more podcasts. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for calling in. And actually, have I got news for you? Because the ACA is now at, I think, technically only 9 have launched so far.
We're hoping to be in the double digits before the beginning of 2019, before season 3.
Yeah, before season 3. There will be 10 shows of the ACA, and they are... Do you want me to take the...
Hold on. Take care, Dominic.
Awesome. Thank you.
I was going to tell Dominic what the shows were.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole.
No, you're fine.
Let's do it. Ready?
All right. Okay. Are we alternating? Or
sure.
What?
The Atheist Experience.
Talk Heathen.
Godless Bitches.
The Nonprofits.
The Preaching Humanist.
Secular Sexuality.
The Atheist Roundtable.
Parenting Beyond Belief. Truth Wanted.
Wait, didn't we do it and say Truth Wanted? Truth Wanted premiering live tonight after the Atheist Experience. Check it out. It is fucking amazing.
We should probably practice
the Atheist interviews as well.
Yes.
Jimmy, you're fucking rock. Jimmy is a partner of the ACA. If you haven't checked out Mr. Atheist, check him out. They actually moved Sunday Mass to later in the evening, so it doesn't cut in to the premiere of Truth Wanted. So after Truth Wanted, check him out. Yeah. It is totally fun.
That's Sunday Mass. So his main channel is he's Mr. Atheist, and it's Dear Mr. Atheist. Yep. I confuse whether that is the name of his channel or just the name of his series. Either of those, you now don't get Josh Fierstein angrily in a red hat.
It's now number one.
It's now number one. You get Mr. Atheist because our friends are awesome. And you can get Sunday Mass, which is Mr. Atheist Says Shit, because it's the show where he curses. And you can see that Sunday after Truth Wanted. This Sunday, today.
Definitely. Check it out. I'm also, there are a couple things that I want to talk about that I saw in the live chat really quick. One is that...
one person typed clap, clap, clap instead of using the clap emojis.
Okay, you don't get to look at my laptop.
Okay.
So, number one, genetically modified skeptic, who is going to be on tonight on Truth Wanted, co-hosting, put out a challenge that if you do believe in magic, if you think you can cast a spell, try and kill him with your magic before the show. Cast whatever curses you need. Let's see if they can make it happen.
But what if he dies? That'd be sad.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even know where to go with that. Number two.
We have a show where we have to answer.
Number two, people were talking about the usefulness of anecdotal evidence and how we don't accept anecdotal evidence when it comes to a god. Well, no shit.
No, we don't accept it because it's not strong enough to demonstrate that the laws of physics changed because a more realistic... The anecdote, someone stole my money, doesn't take a physical, people steal money. The anecdote, an angel appeared before me and stole my money, requires a little bit of, this being was an angel, how?
Yeah.
Right? It's the strength of the claim. If I tell someone I saw a yellow Lamborghini, they're not going to say demonstrate the existence of yellow Lamborghinis. They're very different things. Right. Trying to demonstrate the supernatural is very different than trying to demonstrate the natural.
Exactly what Jamie said. Cut that, clip it, and then send it people when they say that shit.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly.
Because there's going to be a lot of people
also, I saw... we do have some amazing callers on the line. I just know that we're going to be ending at some point in the future. So I do want to make sure. I see Non Sequitur Show has donated a couple times. Steve, Kevin, we love you guys. And we should actually work on a project together sometime in the near future. We have 4 callers on the line. And let's see. How about we go with Camille in Poland? Did I say it right? Camille or Camel?
Yes.
Which one?
Camille.
Dig it.
Yep.
All right. What do you want to talk about today?
Just want the advice for my wife, Dominic. I'll just quickly tell you the story very briefly. Till around age 15, I was raised Catholic. Mm-hmm. Then I became atheist because I thought that this all doesn't make any sense. Then I got married, made family, and then we've got some financial struggle, and then I've got some health issues. And then I started to have nightmares. Mm-hmm. So for a pretty long time, we didn't know what's going on, and then some Christian people showed up. And, of course, they told us that the demon is coming to me at night. Oh. And since we didn't have any other explanation, then we started to believe in it. So we got baptized, and became Christian. It was 1 year ago. And we became really, I would say, hardcore Christian, meaning I read all the Bible. My wife read all the Bible. I went to 40-day fast. And we are casting out, demons, I would say, from people. We are seeing manifestations and all of things. But when I was reading the Bible more and more, I started to have questions. Like, for example,
it's a good sign.
Why the hell God will, will be willing to bet with the devil, instead of saving, Job's kids' life and those kind of things. And I started to dig deep and started to find another mistakes and pretty bullshit in the Bible. So I stopped believing. I really stopped believing. I started to watch your show, started to watch the Atheist Experience.
Yay!
But my wife is more and more like getting deep in this Christianity, delusion, I would say.
Yeah.
And what's worse is that she's starting to teach our kids that are 11 and 7 years old. So now every time before the meal, we have to pray too. And, she doesn't know that I am atheist yet.
Sure.
She knows that I have doubts. And I would love her to see what I noticed and what I discovered. But whenever I bring this topic up, she is saying, don't talk to me about it. Don't, destroy my faith or don't give me a doubt. And, it's been pretty struggle because right now, in this month, even we are going to another country for Christian conference that is held by a person that calls himself apostle and prophet.
Oh no!
What?
Okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's just kind of. I want to break in here because you are a partner in your relationship, right? You are not beholden to another person. You have a say, and we encourage you to go to I suggest go to a couples counselor. Go to a third party, right? What a couples therapist can do is sit you two aside so you can have this conversation and insist on it. There is never a time that insisting on therapy is not the right thing to do. Challenge me. Send me. I'm saying this to the live anybody watching. Challenge me and tell me when a therapist is not the right thing to do. Right? Go and really, because if you're that concerned, which if I was in your position, I would be too, and I think Jamie would be too, is you need to be able to say, hey, you can't just put this on hold. You're making actions on something that is very troubling to me, and you have the right to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of struggle because right now we are a little bit still struggling financially, but yet whatever comes in, I still have to send this 10% to the apostle, right?
Wait,
but
you have to send 10% to somebody? You need to send 10% of your income to somebody?
Yeah, of course.
Why?
Of course, there's the tithe thing.
Why?
So, because that's what we've been told, and that's what my wife really, really believes now.
Okay, then tell her that she can send 10% of her income. And if she wants to talk about it, hey, guess what? Now you want to talk about it. Cool, now we can talk.
Yeah. I mean, it came, that's because there was a lot of, we had a lot of experience that kind of like, at that time when I was believing, it confirmed me that it's actually true because even though we were struggling financially, suddenly, from no one, person that we don't know showed up and said, I heard from the Holy Spirit that I need to help you, so he gave us $10,000.
Holy shit.
What is the name of this denomination?
Okay. Yeah, what... I mean, honestly, I will be happy to test it. Let's see. Let's test that claim.
No. Well,
honestly, I have no idea.
Okay. No, I mean, what's the name of this apostle?
I can't say it yet. I can send you email so you can check it out.
Oh, yeah. Send me an email. I don't know how large the congregation is. I don't want to read it. Okay. Sorry.
Mail at talkheathen.com.
Yes.
I'm actually really interested in that as well.
I was sort of like that.
That sounds culty as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's really, really like a lot going on, and you know how it works. You always find something to confirm, but then I'm having kind of struggle because I am full atheist now, and I'm really happy about that. I mean, like I'm atheist for like 3-4 months.
Cheers.
But in this 3-4 months, I even learned about the world more and more than being Christian or Catholic or whatever.
Yeah.
And I want the same thing for my kids, to be open-minded and always search for the answer and for the truth. But somehow there is a big problem now going on. So I was just wondering what can I do? Because obviously me talking to my wife don't help, because that just brings fights and drama.
Yeah.
Hey, so
go ahead.
There's something to be said for you. If you're married to a person, you have to talk to them. And I think that's accurate. I think finding a good way of talking to them is probably the next step. Like Eric said, counseling is good. Part of the reason I asked the denomination was a little bit hesitant is there are a lot of denominations that will insist that, it's the preacher that does the counseling, and they're counseling to re-Jesus you or whatever, which I don't think is a good solution to any relationship between two humans, to invite an imaginary one. But
Sure enough. A real counselor, an actual therapist that you both agree on would be nice.
Because there's equal terms, and it's one of the things that it's interesting, right? Like interfaith marriage and faith, non-faith marriage, whatever, it gets infinitely more complicated when there's children that need to be raised.
Yeah.
Now, if you do want to, if you are just dying to donate 10%, you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me.
Well, here.
We would be happy to take 10% of your income.
5%.
Join.
of what you
for sure it will bring more positive and more good than sending to that guy. But
cheers. All right. Hey.
But it's just
big hug from halfway across the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right then.
Let us know how it
you
goes.
guys have another call.
Write in emails. Keep in touch. We want to hear.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
We do have people who are saying that they cannot, or they don't have the money to donate, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Actually, no, just subscribe. Subscribe and then right? Subscribe and share, because that's how we get out there. If you are listening to this as a podcast, go to Google Play, go to Apple, or however you get your podcast, give us 5 stars, because that does get us up in the rankings, and that does make us more visible to more people. And we really, really, really appreciate that. So please, if you can, go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. If you can't, subscribe on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on your podcast app. It really helps.
Yeah. Here's what I will say. If you can do reviews on, if you have a phone and a computer, you have 2 devices, and one of them you can do 5-star reviews, and the other one you can watch, and then it's something that you're doing as you're watching.
We've been floating around 800 people watching live, and we haven't bumped over
specific instructions like that. But
we got 253 upvote. Come on, we can do this. We can make this better. But with that said, is there anything else that we needed to jump in with today?
Well, what I
know that we have 3 callers on the line. Stay on the line, callers.
Stay on the line. Stay on the line.
But man, I'm going to miss this. I'm not going to be here next week. Jamie's not going to be here next week.
I'm not going to be here next week. You know who will be here next week?
Who?
Jimmy Mr. Atheist.
And genetically modified skeptic?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be fucking amazing.
And they're going to be doing a clip show, and they'll get to talk about us while we're not here.
Yeah, if you want to see more genetically modified skeptic, he's actually going to be co-hosting Truth Wanted with Dan tonight.
Yeah,
and then after that show, you can go check out Dear Mr. Atheist. They're going to be doing Sunday Mass at around 8 p.m. Don't quote me. We'll check it out, but I know that they're going to be after us.
So wait, where can you see Truth Wanted?
You can see Truth Wanted by going to the Atheist Experience YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And they're going to finish the show, and then on the exact same stream, so don't go anywhere, on the exact same stream, we're going to get all of the stuff in, and he's going to do Truth Wanted immediately afterward.
Don't touch your mouse or other clicking device that tells your computer to click on that digital button to change the thing, because it's on the same YouTube stream.
Now, are you ready for this?
Don't turn that dial. Sounds better.
We do have that camera in the back. Let's go back and say thank you.
Thank you
to
to
the people
crew
on the other side of this wall who make it happen. Thank you so much. We could not do this without you.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you to the live studio audience. You guys are freaking amazing.
You guys will see you all audiencing like champions right now.
We'll see you all in 2 weeks. We got our love rings up. So what we have to say, just like every week,
for those
Fuck
of
it, whatever.
you
What I have to
that
say, because
don't
Jamie never gets it right.
believe,
You have a community.
here and elsewhere.
You belong.
And for those of you that do believe,
We don't hate you.
We just think you're wrong about how confident you are in your
Really?
conclusion.
Oh, God damn it, you got me so happy all of a sudden.
Oh, and then I took it away.
Pour it down,
Yes.
and it hurt.